Hey guys, it's Maggie and welcome back to TheCheernastics2. Today we are going to be telling our scariest gymnastics or cheer stories. So for me it's cheer, for Maggie and Ciera it's cheer or gymnastics since they've done both. We're doing like another sit down one because you guys seem to like my concussion story time. So we're giving you guys another story time. Also, before this video gets started, please ignore the fact of where I'm filming and how I look, because I filmed this video once and for some reason I didn't record, and now I'm filming it on a day I'm homesick from school, had no energy, and yeah, so got out of bed to make this video just for you guys. Anyways, let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so my first scary story is about 3 years ago when I was on a junior 4 team and we were stunting, and one of my bases, I don't really know what happened, like the flyer butted or something, I don't know, the stunt just came crashing down and I heard a snap, and I was a back base and the side base wasn't getting up and she was screaming in pain and she couldn't walk and she had to get picked up by her parents, and it took them like 15 minutes to get there and she was just screaming the whole time, and she broke her tibia and it was very gross and sad. And it was really scary because like literally heard the bone like pop, like I was right there. Ew, it was just so gross, but she's recovered now.
So the first story that I'm going to share is from cheering going into sophomore year. So that was my first year on varsity, and varsity is kind of like when we started working on libs and stuff a little bit more. So we were outside kind of like by the football field, but I don't think we were actually on the field. And so we were kind of like switching people around with different stunt groups, trying to see which groups would like mesh well together. And so this story isn't really about me, but it like involves me, because like obviously it's a scary story from mine. So this one girl that was in my group, this was her first year cheering. She was a senior and she was just cheering because she like wanted to try out and her friends were in cheer, and so she like made varsity. And so we were trying a lib, and I don't know what happened, but like I'm the flyer, so when we went up, I don't know if it was like my fault or if it was like the bases, or it could have been everyone, but I just was like coming down, and then like I was like, no big deal, like people fall all the time. And then like the girl that I was talking about, she like stayed on the ground like after we fell, and I was like, ah, and she was like in a lot of pain and her knee popped out of place. But I don't think that was the first time that happened to her. I think it's happened to her before. And so someone like literally had to like come like riding up on like a gator thing and like take her away to like her car or something, I don't know. And like it was, the reason that it's a scary story for me is because I felt like it was like my fault, and like I'm the one that made her like have her knee pop out of place. Also, she had to wear like a knee brace like the rest of the season, and she like, I don't know if she had to get surgery or not. Megan, do you remember? Do you not remember? She might have, she might not have, but she was out for a while, and I was kind of like, sorry, like, my bad.
Alright, so my first story is a gymnastics story. It actually happened pretty recently. So as you guys know, me and Ciera were seniors last year, and so it was like our final competition season for gymnastics. And it was like midway through the season, like after like our second meet or something, we were at practice. We had like a 3-week break or maybe like a month break between the meet we just finished and then our next meet. And so we were doing like drills on like panel mats. So it had panel mats folded up in the middle of each lane where we were tumbling, and we hadn't done this before, but we were like doing something new, and so they're like doing different skills onto it, like practicing our block. We were doing like front handsprings off of it and like different things like that. And then we did like round-offs off of it, and then they wanted us to do tricky round-offs. I don't remember what one it is. If you don't know what I'm talking about, it's like the round-offs where you're supposed to get your hands all the way 180 degrees around. And so that was like to help with like half-on vaults and like just blocking and stuff like that. And when I went to do it, I like did the round-off, and then I think my mind just got confused with like blocking, and then like the mats are like a different height than the floor, so there's like different timing when you're landing. A lot of people obviously still landed it because it shouldn't be that hard, but I think what happened was that I kept my toes like pointed too long, and then they like hit the ground, and then my ankle rolled, and it literally cracked so loud. Like I was in like the front row closest to my coaches, and they're like, "Are you okay?" And I was like sitting on the ground like holding onto my ankle because I was like, "No, like I'm not okay. Like I think I just broke my ankle." And like this was like when other classes were still going on, so like one of our friends that was coaching at the time, like on bars, this was like 20 feet away, she like could hear my ankle crack. Like that's how loud it was. And so I was just like, oh my god, it cracked. Like I've never had something crack before for like my ankle. Like I definitely broke it. And it was like, it hurt so bad. Like I like scooted over and put ice on it. It was one of those things where like no matter what, like it could, like I was not comfortable. I could not be comfortable at all. And so then my mom picked me up, and then we went to the doctor like that night to like get x-rays and stuff, make sure like it was okay, because one of the things that made this the scariest was like it was in the middle of our senior year of competition season. So I was like, if I broke my ankle, then like I can't compete. So that was like really, really scary to me. And so I was like crying obviously because it hurt, and I was like sitting in the doctor's office, and I was like not crying in the doctor's office, but just like I was really upset, and like you could tell I was crying. And so we were waiting, and then I heard our intro music start playing like in the waiting room, and there was a viewer there, and like I think she like thought it was like me, so she just like was watching her phone full volume like our video. And so I was like, oh shoot, like I just hear like our intro music playing, and like obviously I was like just not in the mood. So but she did come by like before she went and was like, are you Megan? And I was like, yeah, like mid crying, just like, yeah, I'm Megan. But yeah, it didn't end up being broken. It actually started feeling a lot better when I was there, and there was nothing wrong with the x-ray, so it was just a bad ankle sprain.
Alright, my third story is from Myrtle Beach Nationals on my senior 2 team. Okay, so senior 2 team, we were going, after day 1, my coaches usually tell us your placement, right? But they were like, we're not going to tell you, we're not going to tell you. And then we had a team meeting, and our team meeting, we had this math equation. It was super long. It was like a page. Okay, not a page. It was literally so long. And I was like 10, and I was just like, I don't know how to do that. So like the older girls on my team were doing it. And we're like, what is this for? What is this for? And my dad was like, my dad is like super smart when it comes to math. And I was just standing by my dad, and he's like, that equals 1. And I didn't like say anything because I was just like, okay, whatever, I don't know what that means. And then after my team solved it, they're like, 1. They're like, we solved it, it's 1 to our coach. And he's like, yeah. We're like, okay, what? And then someone's like, 1? 1. And then they're like, we're in first place. And he's like, yeah. And then everyone was like, ah! And screaming. But that's not the scary part. The scary part was going into day 2, knowing you're in first place by like 0.1. So if one stunt falls, like the other team, if the other team hits, like you're moving down. So just that competition, being in first place going into day 2 was very scary. We did end up dropping to second place too. So yeah, that was a sad day. But still, second's good. So those are my scary stories, guys.
So for my next story, it is a gymnastics story. So if you don't know, my senior year, I learned a new beam series, and I was really happy to learn it. It was my back walkover, back handspring, step out beam. I'd been wanting to get that for forever, so I was just like really happy when I first got it. But it was like the scariest thing I've ever learned to do for gymnastics. Just like, it was just so scary having to go from like a back walker and be like, ah, back handspring, because like you had to be like, setting yourself straight back. But anyway, so like, it was scary from the start. And then after I had first started learning it, like the first 2 times I think I ever like threw it like without mats or anything, I landed it. So I was like, okay, like this is fine, like we're fine, we're doing it. And after a while, there'd be times where I'd like slip off, and I was like, oh, like no biggie though, like it's fine. But there was one time, I think we were going through routines, and I was doing the back walkover, back handspring, step out, and I think that if this is like the beam, I think that like my first foot missed, and my second foot like was like actually like kind of on, and so then like I like tilted forward because like my first foot was falling, and I'm pretty sure I scraped my shin, like my first foot's shin on the beam. But basically I like murdered my leg, and it hurt so bad, and I like fell off the beam and was just kind of like laying on the ground like, ah, like this is really painful. So I ended up sitting on the bleachers next to the beam, and I think Megan went and got me an ice pack, And I was just sitting there, I was like, oh my gosh. And so like, just like after that, and like I'd had a couple of bad falls like from my back walk over back handspring on beam, like I just was getting really scared of that skill, and I was like, well, I have to like compete it. I don't really have any other choice. So just like every time I would have to like get ready to throw that skill, it was really nerve-wracking and very scary for me. So yeah, that's like the second scary story. I was just like terrified of that skill.
Alright, so my second scary story is a cheerleading story. So I did high school cheer junior year, and we were on varsity, and so this was like at our homecoming football game my junior year. And there was already like so much drama going on. Like, this game was not a good game from the start because half our team was sitting out because they refused to like clip their nails because of homecoming, because they already got them done, and they usually didn't like enforce the like nails rule, and so like they didn't want to cut their nails. So half of our team was sitting out in the first place, and so everyone else was already like really upset and just like not having a good time cheering. And then we decided like, okay, let's all do prep full downs, which if you don't know, like that's just like when the flyer is right here, and then we're gonna do full downs. I've done it like plenty of times before, no problems, and so that's what we decided to do. The problem is my stunt group my junior year was probably a little less experienced than like everyone else. I'm not saying I'm perfect either, okay? Like, I had only done cheer for like, this was my third year. But I had like 2 new people had never cheered before until like that year. So it was like obviously like a lot of like new people in one group. And I also had like 2 different like back bases, and so like it was just a lot of like switching out and not very like stable group. I don't know why that was the case. But they previously, and like most people if you're new to cheer, you catch like, when you're in a back base, you catch like this, like that's how you like usually catch. And my backs were both inexperienced, but like the one that was stunting for this particular stunt, the prep full down, was like new, and like she had barely stunted with our group before like all summer. Like she didn't show up until like halfway through the summer, so very little training with the stunt group. And so this year they decided, okay, flyers are gonna like do this, we're gonna do full downs, and then we want everyone to like land clean, and the backs are gonna turn and catch this way. Like that's what they changed it to. I don't know if she ever got the memo for that, because we went to do the prep full downs. I did the full down, I had my arms right here, and I'm pretty sure she was standing back behind me with her arms like this, and I literally slid right through on the track in front of the whole student section. My shoulder just like slammed on the ground, and I was just like, oh my god, like I'm like landing, like I'm on the track just like laying down, and I'm like, what just happened? Like I was just like, ouch. And I stood up and like started crying a little bit, but also like mostly waited until I like went and sat down, because like whole student section right there, embarrassing. And yeah, but then I got to go sit down, and I was like, this is the worst game ever. So that's my second scary story. We hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure you give it a big thumbs up. Let's try to get this video to 15,000 thumbs up. Also, we want you guys to comment down below what your scariest cheer gymnastics story is, or if you don't do cheer gymnastics, just like any scary sport stories. Also, make sure you guys comment down below some more video ideas for us, because we love to hear what you guys want to see.
And we'll see you next Tuesday.
Bye!